Hello, everybody. FrostyRandom here, and welcome to Week 3 of KCDL, also known as the King's Crown Draft League. This week, we're going against T-Slaps, otherwise known as Tony, and his Austin FC Veer Deerlings. This is post-com Frosty because I played this battle while a birthday party was going on at my house. Yay. Um, So we see that he brings Crocodile, Hisoon Gudra, Iron Valiant, Mewtwo, Mismagius, and Iron Bundle. The Terra is Iron Bundle, and it is Terra Ground to be immune to Raging Bolts, Thunderclaps, and Volt Switches, which makes perfect sense. I decided to bring Meloetta and Bisharp off the bench for this week. Bisharp is Scarf to always outspeed Modest Mewtwo and always outspeed like a not speed and like a like to outspeed like a not speed boosting bundle, well, not bundle, not speed boosting Iron Valiant, I should say. um Gotten only hazard I've got this game is T Spike's Tentacruel, and he brought no removal, so T Spikes are going to go hard into him just like they did against Raxos in week 1. We got Specs Deoxys attack as well, which is a very interesting bring. So Tony has the Indeedee with Psychic Terrain, and I have Expanding Force. And if I take Crocodile out with Ice Beam, which I also have, then Expanding Force is fairly free into him, and the only mon that can really take more than one and still outspeed is Hisuian Gudra. But we go here into the start of the battle. And I did say good luck, have fun. We both said that. We're good sports after all. And we're going to see that he starts off with Bandit the Crocodile, while I led with Ein the Raging Bolt. So immediately in my mind, I'm like, okay, I see this lead. Terra Fairy Terra Blast looks really good into his team. There's not an actual resist, so just click it. Even if I'm like really bulky, really defensive, it's still super good into his team unless it's like a Spadef or Assault Vest Rudra, in which case I can calc that based on the damage. Even if it's like a Gunk Shot coming out, which I don't think it ever brings Gunk Shot this week, because it needs a way to hit Gliscor, and like Slitherwing, which looked really good into his team also on a Scarf set. I don't think he can ever bring Gunk Shot unless he just brings like AV 4 attacks, which could definitely happen. It could definitely be a possibility. Because I was thinking like AV Intimidate could be switching to Deoxys attack no matter what kind of DO set I'm running. But he ends up switching out here, just kind of scouting and being afraid of that Terra Blast. So he goes into Hisuian Gudra. I pop a Terra Fairy and go for the Terra Blast here. Just waiting for the animation to go. There we go. So like I said, I pop a Terra Fairy and I go for Terra Blast here. And there we go, long neck, almost reaching the roof of the gym. We see here that it does nothing. It does about 19 to 20%, which in my mind, I'm immediately thinking, okay, this is Assault Vest. It could also just be Raw Spadef, but it's Assault Vest is the first thing I'm thinking of, because that's your best answer to Raging Bolt if you're scared about like really offensive Raging Bolt. And something like an Assault Vest Hisuian Gudra. So I say, I'm gonna get like maybe 5% more chip, depending on the set. And I'm just gonna go for Volt Switch. If he switches Crocodile in, that's fine. I can just threaten Terra Blast on him again. So he stays in, I go for the Volt Switch, do a pitiful amount of damage. And I'm like, okay, this probably has Ice Beam for Gliscor, Flamethrower for Bisharp, and then probably Flash Cannon Draco is the last two moves. So my best mon to go into this is Archie the Tentacruel, and I'm able to get my T-Spikes up immediately. Goes for Heavy Slam instead, which does more than Flash Cannon would have, because I got special defense and no physical defense in this. Tentacruel this week because Tony's team is a lot more special offense oriented than physical offense oriented. So I just decide I can live like every move this thing wants to throw at me. If he wants to switch Bisharp in, if he wants to switch Crocodile in, that's fine. I can switch Blitzcore or Raging Bolt back in just to tank whatever move it wants to throw at us. So I just go for a raw T-Spike here. I think it gives me the most momentum in the game and lets me chip just in case there's any like focus sashes, like on the Valiant or the Iron Bundle, or really anything like that. Just in general, that allows me to just like chip down the team, chip it into certain ranges, really deal with like Mewtwo a lot better if it's like a substitute for like T-Clap. Like if it's a substitute Mewtwo for Thunderclap or something like that. So he just fires off a Draco. Does almost the same as Heavy Slam did, which is like hilarious considering that Heavy Slam is resisted and Draco is stab, more powerful, and you know, not resisted. But I mean that's what special defense investment with Tentacle does. It's just really good. But I'm calculating to see if that's any investment at all. And if I'm correct, it is literally 0 investment on either attacking stat. And it is, I think, like Sassy Nature to still do more damage with Heavy Slam. Either that or it is something like Calm. Just to do as much with the special defense as possible. So he ends up withdrawing here. Goes out into Crocodile. I knew I could live every move I wanted to throw out at me in case he wanted to stay back in. But now I'm like, okay, in case it's Sash Crocodile, it's no longer got Sash. I got both Toxic Spike layers up, so I can now badly poison his entire team, which means that he can't stay in for long. I forced him into a switching game in which I'm confident that I can win that switching game fairly easily. Because I think my team just has more answers to switching indefinitely over his, because his team is more offensive in nature, and I can force bad switches out of him more often than he can force bad switches out of me. Because, if need be, I also have Bisharp and Deoxys able to revenge easily this game as well, based on their speed tiers, based on Bisharp being Scarf. I can just come in and revenge a lot of mons easily. Only mon I can't really revenge out of those two is Booster Speed, Iron Bundle, or Iron Valiant for like a Scarf Mewtwo. I ended up switching back out into Hisuian Guja, scared that I would outspeed his Crocodile. And I was calculating, and I was like, okay, if he's like not much speed investment, if he is Assault Vest, then yeah, I can outspeed this Crook and just get a tiny bit of damage in, just chip it down for Raging Bolt later. So I'm here being like, okay, I can switch into Bolt, expect the Draco, but at that point, I'm chipping myself down, so I can't deal with Iron Bundle late game, because that's what Raging Bolt is built to take on. It's built to take on Iron Bundle. And I definitely could have been Terra Steel to deal with Iron Bundle, but I went with Fairy, because it's a better overall defensive type into the rest of his team, and Fairy still allowed me to take Hydros and Ice Beams and Freeze Dries extremely well. So I ended up switching into Lusamine, which is my defensive Mewtwo answer. But because I have both Deoxys and Bisharp able to offensively beat Mewtwo, I'm not worried about keeping Meloetta for Mewtwo this entire game. So Heavy Slam does a fair bit because it's 120 base power and stab and hits my weaker defense. So I just go for a knockoff to try to knock off his Assault Vest. We figure out it's Gooey and not Sap Sipper, which makes sense. And then we figure out it's Chople and not AV. So immediately my mind is like, okay, it's just raw Spadef. Which makes sense, honestly. You don't really want to commit to Assault Vest this game when you can just do a Go over Sisfairy and get basically the same amount out of it. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm probably still faster. I can go for Focus Blast, but it's safer to go for U-turn in case of a switch. And that's what happens. He switches out into Miss Magius here, and I just U-turn, able to get the momentum for free, and I can go right into Bisharp if I like, which is what I do. I just go right into Bisharp. I'm Scarf, so I outspeed this always unless it's also Scarf, and if it is Scarf, I very much doubt that it's going to be Scarf Will-O-Wisp, and if it is Scarf Will-O-Wisp, that sucks because Krook has already revealed that it has no Intimidate, and I did not bring Priority. but he should be scared of a Sucker Punch anyway, no matter if I'm Scarf or not. So I think about going for Throat Chop here, but I look at the team and I'm like, okay, no, Karuk and Val are still available. They take Throat Chop super easily, both of which do not take Iron Head well, and there's no way you switch Hisuian Gudra in here because it gets 2-shot and Gui activates. So he does switch Miss Magius out, scare the Sucker Punch, switches back into Crocodile, and Iron Head comes out, and that's a guaranteed 2-shot. So I can tell it's a more offensive Karuk based on that damage. Doesn't matter to me though, I'm like, there's no way you're Scarf based on how you've been playing this. And I'm willing to take that risk if you're Scarf. Because if you are a Scarf, I could just switch into Blitzcore, and I think you better lock into something that hits Blitzcore here instead of Bisharp. And I'm looking at the rest of my team, I'm like, alright, I need to save certain mons for this, so I just gotta stay in here. Bisharp is not my most expendable member, but I think you can't afford to go Earthquake here, no matter if you're Scarf, if you're Assault Vest, or anything like that. So I'm just waiting on Tony, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, you would have clicked Earthquake by now if you were Scarf, or maybe like an Aqua Tail to hit Blitzcore. You might be Assault Vest, but even then, you just click one of those two moves anyway. It actually reveals to be Custap Berry, which I never expected, but it goes for Aqua Tail to hit Blitzcore. Does a fair bit of damage, so he knows I'm offensive for Sharp at this point. Because he originally thought I was Eviolite, but no, I'm Scarf. So in his mind, he's like, okay, that's not Eviolite. That might be Swords Dance. It might be Scarf. It might be not. It can't be Choice Bandit based on the damage I did. But in his mind, he knows that I'm not like Eviolite offensive or Eviolite defensive. Like super bulky Eviolite, I should say. He knows I'm a more offensive set, does not know my item yet though. So he switches out here into Hisuian Gudra, knowing that he can resist the Iron Head now and kill me with Flamethrower. And I know that he can kill me with Flamethrower, so I just go right into Tentacruel because it resists almost every move that this thing can throw out. The only move it doesn't resist is Draco, and even then, Draco does not hit this super hard. I can switch Meloetta in on a Draco as well because I figure I don't need it from Mewtwo at this point. Mewtwo can be dealt with offensively by Dio if it's not Scarf, and if it is Scarf, I can immediately tell if it is. So I switch into Tentacruel here. It goes for the Ice Beam, trying to predict Blitzcore to come in. I take 27 damage because Tentacruel's the GOAT. And I'm here like, okay, I can't hit this thing, so I can just double, and I don't want to kill this just yet, just in case there's still rocks available. Even though, well, I don't want Archie to go down just yet, just in case there's rocks available to him. Even though none of his mons can actually set hazards at this point. I think I'm keeping it around just in case, for like a different, like a Draco switching later or something. So I switch Lusamine in instead. Draco comes out. I take the Draco because I'm Assault Vest on Lusamine. And immediately in my mind, I'm going, okay, you're probably going to switch into Miss Magius here. So I think I can go for a safe play of U-turn. I can also go for a kind of safe play of Knock. So he stays in with Hisuian Gudra. I get a crit on Knock, which doesn't really do that much. I expect to Miss Magius. He didn't switch it, but that's fine. So Hisuian Gudra, the Goober, does take out Lusamine, the Meloetta. So that's fine. Because like I said, I can offensively beat Mewtwo with Dio and Bisharp later. And like as long as it doesn't have Ice Beam, I can even like kind of beat it with Blitzcore. And at this point, he's like, yeah, there's no way your hazards on Blitzcore if you haven't sent it in already. And I haven't because I'm SD dual stabs. So I send it in here, knowing he has Ice Beam. Because I threaten it offensively with Earthquake, because I know I'm faster at this point, because you have to be Spadef if you're not Assault Vest. And even then, I'm offensive with Speed Investment. So it's hard for you to outspeed me anyway, because I think I'm speed creeping max speed. So, and we know you're not Scarf. So, I threaten it with Earthquake, but I'm like, okay, Miss Magius is a free switch in here. If you're expecting Earthquake, I'm gonna do a Wing Beat to do as much to Miss Magius as I can. Yeah, I could SD, but also the fact that like it could still Ice Beam and my Gliscor would just go down immediately at that point. Like, a sack isn't a horrible idea here, but I do think you need this for the Raging Bolt and the Bisharp Iron Head switch. Even Bisharp X Scissor, even though I have no reason to click that now that this group is gone. So, switched out here into Downy, which is Mewtwo. Which I never expected to switch in here because that's taking free chip. It does get badly poisoned by my T-Spikes. So I got 2 layers up earlier. So I do a Wing Beat, and it does about 12.5% for each hit, so it does about a quarter. And then the toxic damage, just like a tiny bit more with it. So immediately I'm like, okay, you're offensively threatening me with Ice Beam. So, and even then, if you click like Side Strike, I can just sack Tenta, because at this point I see no reason to keep it around. And then immediately after, I can revenge you with Dio or Bisharp, because either way, both of them are going to be threatening. And you're not Boots. I figure you're not Scarf this game, because Scarf Mewtwo looks kind of... Scarf Mewtwo looks mid into me because of like AV and Alouetta. So I switch out into Tentacle here, just trying to take a move, maybe an Ice Beam to scout that, but just goes for Side Strike and kills me, which makes sense. I did think about going hard Bisharp there, just in case it was a hard Side Strike, but I figured that was too risky of a switch to make. I could just sack Tentacle to whatever move it wants to use, and then just send Dio in to kill it with like a Dark Pulse or Ice Beam, or even a Psycho Boost, because Spec Psycho Boost still goes super hard into him. Which, at this point, that should be the switch I make here, unless I go into Iron, but I think that happens a bit later. Yeah, the Iron switch happens a bit later. I go Deoxys here, so I go Polaris. Yeah, I think I'm calculating like how much Side Strike does to Raging Bolt there. So I go into Colress the Dio, and I'm tempted to click Dark Pulse, but I know that Val's in the back, and I know that it can be super threatening. And I'm actually predicting it to switch in on a Dark Pulse. So I'm like, okay, what else do I click here? If I'm expecting Iron Valiant to switch in, I have Expanding Force and I have Psycho Boost. Psycho Boost is the most to every Mon besides like Hisuian Gudra, I believe. And it can OHKO any Mon that wants to stay in. It can even OHKO this Mewtwo depending on Bulk investment. But he does switch out into the Hisuian Gudra, which makes sense. It is your specially defensive Mon. So I Psycho Boost. I believe it's a roll to kill from there, and it doesn't kill. So, kind of sucks, but it happens. But I can just stay in Psycho Boost again because I know this gets literally 0 priority. And if I miss, it sucks horribly. So I do take a bit more risk than I need to by just staying in and clicking Psycho Boost. But simply, Dio is the GOAT, and it just won't miss. Also, Joey appearance, which is nice. But yeah, Joey switch appearances. It's like the 3rd video this has happened in recently. So yeah, I just click Psycho Boost. He's just give me 1 second. Alright, there we go. So yeah, it was thinking of which move to do, thinking of if he could switch, but I just end up Psycho Boosting the Gudra and killing it. So that's your Raging Bolt answer gone, which is really good for me because now Raging Bolt can do its entire job of answering Iron Bundle unimpeded, essentially. So you send in Iron Valiant. This immediately lets me know that you have nothing faster than me outside of Bundle, and you're Shadow Sneak. Because you don't send Iron Valiant in unless you're Shadow Sneak. So I'm debating on which one to go to because you could be Ice Punch as well for glitch score. So I just say that, like, if you're mixed, Raging Bolt's gonna take the least from every move you can do, essentially. Because you don't have anything that can really hit Terra Fairy Raging Bolt. Even if you're Poison Jab, I threaten you way too hard with Thunderclap. Because you're just not strong enough for, you're just not strong enough with your attack to be my super bulky Raging Bolt. But you do have Life Orb, which does more, which makes you do more damage. So Poison Jab is a bit of an issue, but I don't think you bring it here. Just like I don't think you bring like a Sludge Wave or something on your Hisuian Gudra. And that's why he didn't bring Lamora, his Grounded Poison, because Poison doesn't look that great into my team. But I'm looking here and I'm like, okay, even if you're P-Jab, it's fine. I still take on Bundle extremely well. And I can even take a hit from Mewtwo if it's not Side Strike. So I just end up staying in and going for the raw Terra Blast to get the guaranteed kill. Volt Switch and T-Glap had a chance to kill from here, but Terra Blast was guaranteed. I was not taking that roll chance. So Moonblast comes out and does like 100 damage. So yeah, like nothing, even with the Life Orb. So at this point, he knows I'm Spadef AV, and I kill with the Terra Blast guaranteed. I think with the Life Orb chip, Volt Switch did kill, but it didn't really matter because at this point, I forced Mewtwo to come back in. Because Miss Mismagius is going to do even less than Iron Values. So at this point, I force the Mewtwo in unless you want to burn the Iron Bundle Terra. In which case, like, that's fine by me. So yeah, like I said, I forced Mewtwo in here. I force a Side Strike to come out. In which case, I'm like, okay, that's fine. I can, like, if you're not Booster Bundle, I just kill you with Dio. And I'm like, okay, I can get my chip or even kill with Thunderclap. Or I could outplay the possibility of a sub Mewtwo, because at this point, I believe you're not Scarf. Because if you were Scarf, you would have stayed in on Dio and killed me. I'm playing this with the idea that you're not Scarf on this. So, stays in, does do substitute, so I outplay the substitute by clicking Volt Switch. And I am guaranteed to break the sub here. So I end up switching, and yeah, like, Bisharp does outspeed if it's modest. So, but even then, if it's timid, Dio is just a better switch. And I can spam Dark Pulse for free, essentially, until Bundle comes in. In which case, Bundle gets beat by Raging Bolt, and Mismagius gets beat by Bisharp. So at this point, I have just enough to always win no matter what. Even if it's like a Scarf Mismagius, Booster Bundle, Scarf Bundle, anything like that. So I Dark Pulse to take out the Mewtwo, knowing it's not Scarf at this point because it's a substitute. So he's thinking of what to switch in here. And he ends up switching in the Iron Bundle, which after hitting T-Spike, so I know it's not Boost, and my mind immediately goes, okay, it's Booster. And it does activate the Booster energy right here to boost its speed, which makes sense. You wouldn't switch it into Dio otherwise, because Dio just OHKOs this with every move but Ice Beam, even a non-boosted Expanding Force. So my mind's only on one Pokemon switching in here, and it is Raging Bolt, because Bolt takes on these last two Pokemon very effectively. And because I'm Terra Fairy, unless you were a different Terra, like Poison or Steel on Bundle, you would not be able to hit me super effectively at all with either Mon that's left. So I end up switching Raging Bolt in here. And he ends up using Terra, which is, like I said earlier in the game, Terra Ground, so immune to all my electric moves. Which, in prep, we had agreed there were only 3 viable Terras in this match. Ice and Water as stabs, and Ground to act as to just be immune to Thunderclap. So I just go for a Draco because my calc says Draco is a guaranteed kill, even without the T-Spike chip. If you're some HP investment and you're like if he's like a weird set where he's like modest speed boosting, which means he needs a fair bit of HP investment, then I still don't think he lives this. I think even max HP, he died to Draco here based on how little special defense Bundle has. So he goes for the Hydro, gets a roll to where he could kill me with a second if I miss Draco, but I do not miss Draco. In this game, 0 moves miss. So that's cool. But last mon here is Miss Magius, and I know this from post game. Actually, it also shows here. Miss Magius is Scarf, so it does outspeed. Bisharp does outspeed Dio, but Raging Bolt always takes a hit and can Thunderclap twice on it. But I'm looking here, I'm like, okay, I don't think you're Scarf on Miss Magius, but even if you are, I still throw chop and kill. Just seeing how much like Shadow Ball and Beagling do. Seeing if I should have had Sucker Punch over X Scissor. But I end up just going Bisharp anyway because in my mind I'm like, it's a disservice to not give Bisharp this kill for any reason. So just goes raw Shadow Ball, which does more to me than I expected. No drop, but if I was suckered, I killed anyway. Drop or not, because this throat chop kills. So goes for a second Shadow Ball, can crit me and kill here, but there's no hacks this game. No hacks whatsoever, no misses, no crits. There was the one crit, but it didn't matter really. So there goes Miss Magius. And I end the video pretty quick after I finish the battle, which is what I'll do now. GG's to Tony. Good game on my end. Specs Dia was interesting to bring here. But thank you all for watching week 3 of KCDL. I will bring you all the week 3 watch along tomorrow, Monday, at about 9:30 to 10 p.m. EST. Once again, thank you all for watching. This has been FrostyRandom, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, everybody.